Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to take a look at one of my more popular videos on my channel, and it had to deal with circles and fillets. So I found this example for you, and it's all circles and all fillets. So I'll give you a little breakdown of it, and then we'll come back and complete this one. Alright, so let's get started. All right, so the first thing that you're going to start doing with a example like this one is that you want to find some way of creating all these circles. Now, if you're an advanced student or you've been using AutoCAD for a long time, you should be able to recognize and knock this out with no problem. But if you're one of these beginning students, I always recommend make a skeleton somehow. What I mean by that is that I'm going to do this in the example is I'm going to draw a line going straight down. And we already have the distance that we want, so I'm going to go 16 over, and then I can go 16 over this direction, right? And so that just gave me the two center points that I'm going to need to create these circles here, as well as these circles. Now, when it comes to creating this one here, you're going to have to try to do a little bit of math just to figure this out, right? So I can either decide to go up from here and then over to figure this one out, or I can go from this point and this one. It really doesn't matter which direction you do. We have the 13 and then we have a 21. So we're going to have to do a little math no matter which way we look at this. We have a 21 on this side and we have a 16. So if I decide to go this direction, I'm going to use the 13 going this direction. And then I'm going to do the math of 21 minus 16, which should give me 5 going up in this direction. So we can do it that way. Now, if we want to take a look at this a different way, and I'm going to change colors here, we can also look at it going from here. So I could say, hey, I can go up 21 going this direction here. Oh, I know my line's a little crooked. And then I want to figure out how far to go this direction, right? So I have a 16 and then I have a 13, and then I can go over 3 going this direction. Either one of those methods will work fine, right? So it doesn't matter which way you do it, as long as you figure that part out. Once we do that, all the rest of this is going to be super easy for us to do, right? The rest of this has, it's just basic creating lines and putting the circles on and then a bunch of fillets, all right? So now we can jump over to AutoCAD, and this one shouldn't take us too long. It's probably going to take us longer to do the drafting of it, but I will let you know right now the drafting of it should be super quick. We only have, 4 linear dimensions, and the rest of this is nothing but radial dimensions. All right. Let's jump over to AutoCAD. Okay, so let's go ahead and knock out our normal stuff that we do. We can go ahead and knock out these grids, or we could set up the grids. And I've been kind of telling you a long time that I was going to show you how to use grids. This could be one of those videos where I can very easily show you how to do that, right? So here, I'll just click this little fly up next to it, and then I can go to snap settings. This could give me a dialog box here, and then my snap settings are set to 0.5, where if you notice that in my drawing, everything was set to 1, right? So I can get away with setting this equal to 1. So all of my snaps, anytime I snap with my mouse, it's going to move at an increment of 1. My snap grid spacing is set to 0.5, so I could see the little point in between them, but I'll never be able to snap to them. So it's easy for me in this case to go ahead and put this at 1 as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and change my spacing of my grid, and then I'm going to change my snap. So when I hit the OK button, you're going to see that this grid should refresh now, and each one of these blocks in between here are going to be 5. Now to activate the snap function, I can go ahead and click this icon here, or I can hit F9. Either one is going to work. So once I do this, you're going to see that my mouse will click, and I have to zoom in a little bit more. And it should click now, and let me go ahead and do one other thing here. I'm going to turn the coordinates on for you, just so you could see that my coordinates down here at the bottom should be jumping on each one of these, right? So let's make sure. I'm going to verify that my snap is on, and that now when I'm ready to create this, let's give it a shot. So I'm going to go with a line. You can see my mouse is kind of jumping around, and if you take a look at the coordinates here, you'll see that there are no decimals after this. Everything is snapping to whole numbers. So I want to start off at here. So I'm going to do one left click here, And remember, I said I'm going to go down 16. So if I just move my mouse down, it's only going to stop at those whole numbers. So I can click here at 16. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can get a better picture of what's happening. So I'm just looking at my numbers here. I can go 16 this direction. I can go over 16 this direction. And then I'm going to go up 21 this direction. And once again, it's kind of easy to do this with the snaps when everything is nice and whole numbers. I'll click here, and then I want to go over 3 going this direction, right? And then I have all of my centers here. Okay, so that was a real quick reference way of getting your center points for all of my circles. Now, I didn't have to use this. I can always use the line command, set my ortho, and then type in those numbers. But when I'm using the snap function, all of these lines are indeed what those links are because I told it to snap to that. All right. Another quick option that you have, you can see that these blocks or these lines are spaced out at increments of 5, right? So I know that this is 5, 10, 15, and then I got one block underneath that. That's another quick way of noticing that this is set to 16, right? Likewise here, so 5, 10, 15, and one block past that is 16. If I come all the way up here to the top, I can see that I have 5, 10, 15, 21. All right. So everything works out just by looking at the graph. I'm going to go ahead and turn my snap off just by hitting F9 or clicking this icon here. So now my cursor is free to move around. You can see here on my coordinates, the decimals now are back appearing. Let's go ahead and put our circles on this. So I'm going to use a circle, center radius. I'll just click at this endpoint here, and I'm going to start with my big circles. This one has a radius of 10. I'm going to go ahead and put my next circle, center radius, on here. Click it here. This one has a radius of 12. And then one more circle, center radius, at this endpoint here. And this one's going to have a radius of 5. Okay, let's go ahead and get rid of my skeleton here now that I have all of my centers located. So I'm just going to go ahead and select these lines here and erase them. All right. Next thing I need to do is go ahead and put the fillets on here. So I'm just going to go to the fillet command. So I'll go to fillet, then I'll go to radius. This number is going to be set to 5. So 5, enter. And then I have multiple, so I'll go ahead and use the multiple option. And from this point, I'll just go ahead and put the fillets on all of these points. All right, so once you have that done, go ahead and hit the escape button. And now here's a quick trimming option that you can use, right? If I trim this, you're going to see that it'll trim here, no problem. But up in here, I got to do multiple trims. But if I go to trim, I'm going to set the cutting edge. And what I'm going to do is select all of my fillets that I just created. Let's go ahead and hit enter. And then we can go ahead and trim off these portions, right? So it's just one simple click. All right. Now I'm ready to go ahead and put the circles on the inside of here. So I'm going to go to circle. I'm going to go find this center, click here. I have a circle that has a radius of 7. I'll go back to the circle center radius command. And then I have one that's set on the inside of this one that has a radius of 5. Let's take a look down here at the bottom of this one. So back to the circle command, I can just hit the enter button. I'll click here. This one is going to be a radius of 8. Hit the enter button again. I have one that has a radius of 6. All right, finally, I'm working up here at this one. So I'm just going to go back to the fillet command, right? Located here. This one will have a radius of 3. And use it one more time. This one will have a radius of 2. All right, so now I'm just going to work inside of here. Now, all of the ones that are between here have a radius of 10. So once again, we're going to go back to the fillet command. We're going to go to the radius, set it equal to 10. And then we're going to change and use multiple, right? Since we have more than one. Now I'll go ahead and select here. And do be careful because it does matter where you select on your circle. So you notice that I want it on the inside of here. So I'm picking areas that are somewhat close to where I need it to be. And I actually made this one by mistake. Let me go ahead and undo that last one. And then I'll go back to the multiple option. And I wanted that fillet to be between here and here. Okay, let's go ahead and put one between here and likewise here along the top. Okay, so now I have all of those fillets. Let me go ahead and hit the escape button, and believe it or not, we are actually done with the drawing portion of this, right? Okay, so now we're able to go ahead and put this on a title block, and I'm just going to use a really quick title block on this one. So I'll type in REC, that just stands for rectangle. Go ahead and hit enter. 0, 0, enter. 17, 11, enter. Looks like it didn't give me my 17, 11, enter. There we go. Let's go ahead and zoom into here. Let's do the offset command, so O enter. So from here on out, I'll go ahead and use these shortcuts, and this is one of those things that you should probably get used to doing. It's 0.25. Go ahead and hit enter. Select your rectangle. Click to the inside of this. I'm going to select both of these squares, or rectangles I should say. Go ahead and hit the create button. Type in TB. Just name it as title block. Go ahead and hit OK. Go ahead and select your rectangle here. Do a right click. And then go find properties. Once you find the properties windows, I'm just going to set the scale X to 5. Now, if you don't have a certain option turned on in your blocks, you're going to have to change the scale X and the scale Y to 5, but I have both of mine on to scale uniformly. All right, so I have this set up now. Let's go ahead and move this. So I'm just going to go M, enter, put a blue window around these objects, enter, and then I'll click here. And let's just kind of move it somewhere into there. All right, let's go ahead and turn the grid off. I don't need to see that anymore. Let's go ahead and create 2 layers. We only have center marks on here, and we only going to use dimensions. So I'll go to layer, click the new icon here, type in one that's called center, so just CEN, and then one more that's called DIM. The center layer, let's go ahead and make it cyan, or color number 4. Okay, and then underneath the line type, I'm just going to select continuous, go to load, scroll down till I find center 2. That one there. Go ahead and hit OK. Then go ahead and select the center 2 and then hit OK. Underneath the dimension, I'll select the color there and make it color number 1 or red. One or the other. So color number 1. I'll go ahead and hit close on here. Type in the center layer command. Set that equal to cen. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and adjust my center EXE. So I'm going to adjust the center extension. Go ahead and hit enter. Let's make it 0.5. This drawing is really not that big. Okay. So we have the scale factor. We need to set that. So once I determine which one I'm going to use, I can either use the standard option or the annotation. I'll go ahead and use annotation. So I'll select the fly up here, select 1 to 5. Let's click over to the annotate tab here and go ahead and hit center mark. And I'm just going to click on these outside circles here. Okay. Next thing we need to do is let's go ahead and set up our dimension. So I'm going to make sure all of my dimensions go on the dim layer. And then I'm going to go and adjust my dimension style. I'm going to use the annotative, so double click on here, and I just want to make sure it says preview of annotation, and you can see my current style now is the annotative one. Go ahead and hit modify. I always start, for some strange reason in my brain, it works a lot better when I go from right to left. So I'll start here at the primary units. I'm just going to suppress the trailing zeros. Underneath the fit, remember we don't have to adjust anything here since we're using annotative. The text height, in this case I will leave it big. I think we have plenty enough room to leave bigger text. Underneath our symbols and arrows, I will turn my center marks off since we already put those on. And then underneath our lines, we're going to leave this alone today. Go ahead and hit OK, and then close. Alright, like I said, we have, 4 linear dimensions, so I'll start off with the linear one. And all I'm going to do is select this endpoint and this endpoint. Go ahead and place that dimension here. I'll just hit the enter button just to take me back to the last command. And then I'm going to go find this endpoint and then this one. Hit enter again. That endpoint to this one. And then finally, one more enter. I should have this endpoint to this one. Okay. Just going to zoom in here, and now I'll do all of my radial dimensions that are located at this point here. So I'll go to radial. I'll start with my inside circle here, and I'll go ahead and place that one. Just going to hit enter. Do the next one. And one more enter to do the outside one here. Let's go ahead and put an enter. And then we'll do this one here. Hit enter one more time. I do have one that's sitting on the inside of here, and I'm trying to make sure I stay clear of everything. Okay, next let's work here. So I'm just going to hit enter. Start with this outside one here. I'll make it 5. Hit enter again. And then one more enter going here. Now normal practice would say that if these are closed circles, I can actually use diameters. But for this example, I'm just going to go ahead and put the radial dimensions on here. I'll go ahead and place one here. Go ahead and hit enter one more time, and then I should have one here. Now I tend to like all of my leaders kind of pointing at the same direction, so you'll notice I'm trying to do that on purpose. All right, so I'll go ahead and hit the enter here. Let's start with the outside one here. So that's at 12. This one is at 8. And then one more here, which is just set to 6. Okay. And then we just have one more dimension in here to fix or to put on here. We have a dimension here. Make sure I cleared of everything. And then I have one on the inside here. And I'll click it and place it here. Now, a lot of times you can see that I try to keep all of my dimensions on the outside. This is like one of those last ditch things that anytime you're dimensioning in your drawing, you want to try to keep your drawing as clean as possible. And what I mean by that is keep all your dimensions on the outside, but it is acceptable if it makes your drawing look a lot cleaner. So this is one of those examples where I think, and this is all up to you and your interpretation on whenever you create your drawing, but all of this is going to work exactly the same, right? Okay. So let's go ahead and zoom the extents, and everything looks fine there. All right. And I think we are completed with another one. So thank you for joining me on drawing this one. Thank you to all the people that are constantly subscribing to my channels and the ones who are leaving comments, especially the ones that, you know, left one of my last videos. I want to send a special thank you to you guys. Thank you for always being there for me. All right. So until the next video, and hopefully you enjoyed learning about more fillets and circles and kind of figuring out and what's going on through my mind. All right, so until the next video, and once again, I really do appreciate you and thank you for watching.